The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. Ooh, let me make myself bigger right here. Oh, wow. I'm in here. I'm taking over your living room, baby. What do you think about that? I'm inside of your phone. Do you see how gigantic I am? Do you think that's funny? Tyler, pay attention to me. We're starting, dude.
Dude, I know. I'm trying to set up this mock draft.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. Welcome. This is episode 24 of the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast, the number one podcast of all podcasts. Not even just fantasy football. We're honestly the best podcast there is out there. Spotify just texted us. We're rich, baby.
We just surpassed Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah, JRE is now bows down to the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. We're doing a mock draft here, baby. This is our third mock draft, which doesn't seem like it is, but it makes sense.
Mock draft 3.0, baby.
Not just our third mock draft, but our third draft, it's not only just our third mock draft. It's our third time, we've drafted way more than 3 times is what I'm trying to say. Jesus Christ. Anyways, it's going to be a wonderful podcast. I got a new soundboard, man. So am I excited about it? Yes. Are we going to kill this mock draft? Maybe.
Yes.
Off to a rough start, but yes. Are we the best duo on the podcast? Yes. Are Dre and Anthony not as good at fantasy as we are? Yes.
They're pretty good.
Nope, I'm better, dude. Anyways, we're doing a mock draft, baby. We're starting
mock draft
soon.
3.0, half point PPR. Yo, just shout out to everyone that is in the mock draft. We got Blake. We got Rudy, my boy Spatty. We got the champ, a.k.a. Niz. Vonner. The medicine man himself.
Yes, the medicine man, if you're not aware.
And Trey. So good look. We have one spot open. We'll see if someone will take that spot.
To be honest,
sent out several invites.
If we just have it's hard to fill these up sometimes, I feel like. Or when we do it last minute like we did. You know what I mean?
We're doing it last second. But I feel like 11 out of 12 last second.
Not too bad.
Pretty good.
So if you're listening to this right now and you're like, I want a mock draft with these guys. If you're listening to this in the future when this podcast is released, dude, hit us up, baby. We do live streams every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right? You can join the club. Join the AVG Fantasy Football Mock Draft every Thursday live at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can join us in the comments, and it'll be a great time. So is there anything you want to talk about before we start this?
Check out the last episode we just did.
No.
Sleepers and
That's
busts.
gonna come out. That's coming out in the future.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm a time traveler. I'm from the future, so I've already heard it.
It's not pre-recorded at all.
Yeah. I can't think of anything.
Yeah. Well, I would say that
Let's see. Dak is gonna sign his franchise tender, he's gonna get paid $31 million. He will be the highest paid player in the entire NFL this upcoming season,
which is awesome, super hot. I would say, yeah. I mean, low-key, when we look at the fantasy stats for Dak Prescott, I feel like he just gets roasted in like NFL meme pages. But when you actually look at the fantasy stats and actually stats in general, kind of Dak Prescott actually is like not that bad. He's actually pretty good. I feel like he doesn't get a lot of credit. Would I pay him all that for not doing that well record-wise last year? No. You know what I mean? But that's a whole different story. Fantasy football related, he's not a bad spot. I would say that people keep getting coronavirus, so everybody seems to be, get down with the sickness, which kind of sucks. But I'm still have faith. I have hope that the football season will start regularly. What do you think? Do you think it will start?
I'm like back and forth. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, it should be good to go. But then, I mean, you're seeing all these like crazy spikes in all these cities. And I mean, even here in Las Vegas, now mandating that you have to wear a mask everywhere you go. So maybe they're just trying to keep it under control, keep it under wraps. So we'll see what happens. I mean, baseball's finally agreed on a 60-game schedule, I think it was. And then you have hockey getting ready to come back in. And then basketball, obviously, is going to start up at the end of July. I mean, football kind of has the benefit of the doubt where they're starting later in the year, so they kind of have some time for things to really kind of chill out compared to these other sports. So, I mean, I feel like they have the best chance still to keep playing or get the season on track.
Yeah. We'll have we actually had who's drafting in here is the medicine man. He is a licensed physician assistant, and he was able to go over like his thoughts on the coronavirus. Obviously, he's not an epidemiologist, so he doesn't know everything about it, but he has a better opinion than we do as people who work in the nightlife industry in Las Vegas. So, and expert fantasy, what do you call it? On-air personalities. Let's get into it, yeah? Should we start this, baby, or what? Are we waiting to try and fill that last spot?
No, we're good. We have Justin, a.k.a. the biggest roommate, a.k.a. The Rock, a.k.a. Shoulders.
I know. Hey, I wonder, what is he cooking? I know that's the wrong I know that's the wrong drop.
It doesn't matter. All right, so mock draft. Yeah, we're going to start this mock draft, and it's going to start now.
Okay.
All right, so Justin is on the clock with the first pick in the AVG Fantasy Football Mock Draft 3.0.
Do you see everything? Can you see everything? Good.
I can't see everything.
He went Davante Adams.
All right, so curveball. So this is Jesus, Justin.
God. And here's the thing, is there's always a hammered guy at every draft, and I thought it was going to be Blake because I called him and I said, hey, would you like to do this draft? And he somehow snaked Christian McCaffrey. I thought he was going to be the drunk guy at the draft, but I found out not so much. Looks like I could get one of these running backs, which I'm hyped on. I know Zeke. Oh, my God. What?
All right, so
no.
Okay. It
Okay.
goes Davante Adams with the first pick with Justin. He's obviously thrown a wrench in the loophole right here. But, I mean, sometimes you'll have people who do crazy picks. I mean, I remember one year doing fantasy, a buddy of mine, he drafted the Steelers defense in the first round. And we kept telling him over and over, like, bro, they're going to be there. Don't worry about it. So he ended up taking Tom Brady. And then it came back in the second round, and he took the Steelers defense. And we were like, bro, they're going to be there. And he got so mad. He was like, I just want this fucking Steelers defense. We're like, all right, do whatever you want. So
wait, where's I need to hurry up. What time? Well, how much time do I have left? 54 seconds. Oh, you made this kind of long. Where's this is.
So it goes Davante Adams, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon, Alvin Kamara. Mike takes Ezekiel Elliott, and now the champ, a.k.a. Niz, is on the clock. He
won your league. He goes Michael Thomas.
Yeah, the league that we've been doing the longest with me, Anthony, Andre, and a bunch of our boys. So he goes Michael Thomas, and now our boy Evan is on the clock.
I'm going to guess he goes Derrick Henry or Dalvin Cook, one of those two. If I had to guess, who is he gonna pick? Yeah, this whole thing has been pretty sweet though. So do you like? Oh yeah.
It was not a flop.
Yeah, that's what Justin's saying right now.
He's saying that. Yeah, he's saying highest target and touchdown upside out of anybody. So, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, like I said, sometimes fantasy football is all about getting the fair players that you want to get and whatnot. So
he said it went Joe Mixon, then Derrick Henry. Wow, this draft is different.
This is why you got to do mock drafts, so because sometimes people are gonna throw some wrenches in the mix, and you got to switch it up, keep the body guessing.
I don't. That's pretty crazy. Dalvin Cook. It seems to be. It's crazy how much more running backs seem to go off. I think people are starting to learn. Excuse me, I just had some McDonald's. I think people are starting to learn that running backs kind of like fall off after this first round.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree? It seems like, I feel like for a while it was like those first five, and then it kind of trailed off.
I think the running backs are pretty solid for the first two rounds, actually. I think once you get to the rounds like 3, 4, 5, I feel like the tier level of wide receivers and even tight ends, in a sense, their values are way higher than what the running backs are going to be right there. So for me personally, this is the third time we're doing this mock draft. I'm really trying to grab, 1 to 2 running backs in these first 2 rounds. And then there's so many wide receivers I feel like that you could grab in the later rounds. And obviously we're always preaching on wait for quarterbacks. I know there's Mahomes, I know there's Lamar Jackson and whatnot, but I think you can get a lot of really good quarterbacks in these later rounds.
I was going to say which Anthony usually talks on or speaks on is trying when you're doing a mock draft. Like I went and picked the 5th position because I figured I wouldn't get one of these top tier running backs, and I was trying to put myself in a situation where I had to either jump ahead and get a running back I wasn't really that comfortable with, or grab one of these receivers just to see where I would end up in that later rounds. So I would say if you're doing a mock draft, if you're listening to this or watching this and you're doing a mock draft, put yourself in like the worst position, the worst spot you like drafting at or like being at, because chances are you might end up getting that spot. And if you're prepared for there, just helps you out in the long run.
Yeah. So the Messiah, he's not here with us. He's have some family business. He's out with the family. So he actually got auto-picked. He picked Josh Jacobs. I was kind of hoping that he would actually pick, and Josh Jacobs would be there for me. I was going to get Josh Jacobs. I'm pretty high on Josh Jacobs this year. I love him. So now I have a decision on who to get right here. I was just talking about getting running backs. You got the best available is Chubb, Aaron Jones, and Miles Sanders. I'm not too hyped on Aaron Jones, so it's pretty much between Chubb and Miles Sanders. But then even here, it's like looking at a guy like Julio Jones who could see 150-plus targets, in that dirt cutter offense with Matt Ryan. It's hard to really pass him up right here. So I think, there are 3 running backs available, so I'll take a shot right here and grab a guy like Julio Jones because I know that one of these running backs is going to fall back to me being on the 11th pick right here.
Ooh, Julio Jones is never a bad spot, never a bad pick. I feel like I feel like you're never upset with Julio right there. I can't be mad at it. I don't like Nick Chubb that much this year.
I'm torn on Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the stars are aligned for him to have a good year, but the numbers when Kareem Hunt came back fell off dramatically. Is that the right word? Drastically. Dramatically.
You put dramatically and
yeah.
drastic.
Yeah, they fell off. So we'll see what happens. It's obviously a new offense, with the Stefanski offense compared to the Freddie Kitchens offense. So we'll see how that is. There are some reports saying that they want Kareem Hunt to work primarily as a wide receiver. So if that's the case, then yeah, dial up Nick Chubb all day, every day.
Look at that. Chris Godwin goes off. Chris Godwin was like, I think I drafted him in one of my leagues in like the 7th round or something last year. Where was he going last year? It's crazy to see him. He's the 4th receiver to come off. I mean, it makes sense, but
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So this is a tricky situation right here. Sometimes in fantasy, you want to draft a player that you like. You get torn between 2 players. It's either Miles Sanders or, my boy Kenyon Drizzy Drake, who I'm pretty hyped on this year. I think last time I took Drake pretty early because I just like root for him. But I think if it really came push to shove, who I'm gonna pick, I think I'm probably gonna go Miles Sanders because I think he's prime for a monster year.
We usually hate Eagles running backs too for like the past couple of years, but it seems like so long as nobody gets signed, no Devontae Freeman or something crazy goes there. Miles Sanders looks like he's gonna be a good guy. Dang, dude, I like your team so far. 2 picks in. I feel like first 2 rounds, you always like your team.
For sure, yeah. I feel like nobody ever leaves the draft thinking like, oh, I hate my team. I hate my team.
You do that. You do that every time you draft.
Yeah, I do sometimes. But I'm also
I'm
also big on trades. I know Anthony's not really, he says like, I'll ride my team to the grave. But, I mean, sometimes that backfires on him. I feel like, sometimes you got to be be willing to make trades. You got to be willing to move pieces and try to always upgrade your team at any given time. So the Messiah is on the clock. I think he's stuck on auto pick.
Did he text him that we're going?
I did text him. So
Dre, we're going, baby. Yeah. Yeah, I always like my team for the most part. I feel like it's just, but I've watched you take a pick and then immediately after you're like, oh, I hate that guy. I've seen you do it
for sure. Yeah.
It's really funny.
All right, so the Messiah obviously is on auto pick right here. So I think he's going, Tyreek Hill. I think that's the best available.
Time's up. Let's see.
Which you can't be mad at the combo of
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs and Tyreek Hill. Like, that's a pretty solid 1-2 combo to start out.
Anthony goes with Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going. People are asking. By the way, if you guys are checking this out on YouTube and you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and press that subscribe button, or at least hit the like button, man. Ooh, there he is.
Drake!
Kenyon Drake off the board.
The medicine man out here. He's got a nice 1-2 combo right there.
Little Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the second one. We were just, in the future, we'll talk about Derrick Henry. We'll talk about Derrick Henry in the future. Look out for that. Maybe on Monday. New podcast out.
All right, so next pick, DeAndre Hopkins. So we get back-to-back Cardinals coming off the board here. I know you're pretty hyped on the Cardinals this year, Mike. I definitely think they're going to have one of the most exciting offenses in the entire NFL. They're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny, man. This has Aaron Jones way up here on this list. It's crazy how much some of this stuff will change, I feel like.
Yeah. And the champ, he goes with Mike Evans. So he's stacked up on receivers, Michael Thomas and Mike Evans. I'm taking notes over here, Niz. I'm coming for that belt.
All right, I'm going to go crazy. Went for it.
Austin Eckler, huh?
Yeah.
Will we elaborate?
He good. I feel like a lot is changing within that team, and I just feel like he's kind of been the only one that's been the same. So yeah, I'm also just experimenting within mock drafts, which is like see where I'll be at if I go there later on in later rounds.
That's what it's all about. I mean, you're feeling out what, that way you can, if you make a mistake in a mock draft, you can, you're trying to learn, obviously, so you don't make that same one right there. Spatty goes Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's got a nasty 1-2 combo right there. Kamara and CEH. Two potential top 10 running backs right there.
So I'm curious in Dynasty. I was just thinking about this right now randomly. Sorry. Clyde Edwards is good. But what I was going to say is if someone drops Antonio Brown, someone should go ahead and pick that up.
So first tight end comes off the board. That's Blake, right?
Yeah, he's a Niners fan.
He goes with the homer pick, and he goes with George Kittle. But I do love George Kittle, and I think he could potentially push Kelsey for that number 1 overall spot. I mean, we saw Debo go down with the broken foot. I think it was official. He had surgery on it. I mean, he could, be the tight end number 1 overall. I mean, you're still looking at, arguably a top 3 tight end right here.
All right, Pat Mahomes, first quarterback off the board. Let's see what other silly decision. No, it's actually not that bad. Pat Mahomes. Well, Pat Mahomes was going 12th overall last year in a lot of leagues. Don't you think, Tyler?
Pat Mahomes?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going in the first round, pretty much. So to get him right there, kind of at that turn, that's not a bad pick. I don't think he gets out of the second round, yeah.
Get that 1-2 punch, a little quarterback tight end action. I'm not mad at it, actually.
Yeah. A little double points right there from Justin. So, I mean, he's got a solid wide receiver, Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey, too. His strategy right here looks like it's paid off pretty well. I mean, he's going to have to grab some of these late-round running backs, so we'll see what he does for that.
Let's see what he does, who he picks. I feel like a lot of these receivers right here are kind of in the same tier. After, I don't know. I feel like none of these guys really stand out, you know what I mean? They seem to be all kind of tier 2 receivers. Do you think that or no?
For the receivers that are left,
Yeah, like still, Adam Thielen.
Oh, there's still some really good receivers right here. I mean, I guess 1, 2.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I probably have about 3 of these receivers realistically in my top 12 that are still on the board.
Right.
I know I was preaching on, waiting, on receivers and grabbing running backs, but in this mock draft, depending on if one of these receivers was to fall to me at the 11th spot in the 3rd round, I might have to go receiver because the value might just be there, and then I'll just have to adjust accordingly. That's why it's good to do these mock drafts because sometimes, like I said, there's a wrench thrown into it, and you got to switch it up, and don't be so stuck on like this is my strategy and I'm only doing this, no matter what.
Right.
You got to kind of like let the draft dictate itself and unfold and go with the flow of it.
Yeah, definitely. About to be up. Kenny Galladay goes off the board. I actually liked Kenny Galladay. I liked him there.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that would get.
I think Kenny Galladay's prime for a massive year this year.
Yeah.
Look out for him in Dynasty. That's one of my guys. I'm trying to get
Kenny Galladay.
Like you get.
Allen Robinson goes up the board. Whoa, fuck. Oh my God, I picked up my phone and it pressed. God. I went to pick up my phone and it slipped and I pressed DJ Chark.
Hey,
God
DJ
damn
Chark,
it.
I know we're pretty hyped on the Minshew Mania, so I mean, if that's just going to be his go-to guy, I mean, 1,000+ yards, 8+ touchdowns, that's not out of the realm of possibility for him right there. I mean, you're looking at a top 20 wide receiver.
And that's why you mock, dude. So you prepare for situations like that.
Yeah. I feel like DJ Chark's the guy who kind of burst onto the scene last year, but he's not getting too much love.
Yeah, but
right now, obviously maybe when we get closer to the draft season, that'll change. But I feel like for right now, he's not really getting too much praise, or the hype isn't too big on him.
Right. Then we got Le'Veon Bell goes off the board. Wow, that is frustrating. All right, I don't like Allen Robinson this year, but I do think that there's you can make a case for him.
Allen Robinson?
Yeah, I don't like him usually. What did I say? This year?
Yeah.
But I don't like him usually, but I think you could actually make a case. I like him as a top tier receiver. Amari Cooper, always good. Very good. We were talking about Dak Prescott. Yeah, I don't know how do you feel about Le'Veon Bell this year?
I'm probably going to be fading Le'Veon Bell. I mean, you go out and you get Frank Gore. For whatever reason, obviously Adam Gase likes Frank Gore that year in Miami. Maybe he saw something. And then they go out and they draft a rookie running back as well. So we'll see how much he gets utilized, Le'Veon Bell. I think his best fantasy days are in the past, with those Steelers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's I saw a couple of memes saying like Dalvin Cook, don't do it, don't hold out, or like Devontae Freeman. Both of them, and it was like, don't do it, it's not worth it. It was like him and Melvin Gordon like pleading to him. It's pretty funny. Yeah. Speaking of Melvin Gordon, there he went. Are you as high on Calvin Ridley as Anthony is?
Yeah, I love Calvin Ridley. Another guy I know, we're starting up a dynasty league. I'm gonna try to get Calvin Ridley in every single, as if I can get him, I'm going to get him. And even if I have to reach for him, I'm going to try to grab him. I was actually considering potentially grabbing Calvin Ridley, even though I have Julio Jones. I know that sounds a little ridiculous, but just because I draft him doesn't mean I have to keep both of these guys for the entire year. Maybe I draft Julio Jones and I get Calvin Ridley in the 3rd round, and then now I keep Calvin Ridley and I move Julio Jones for another player. Maybe I pair Julio Jones and someone for a different running back, But potentially, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to see guys like Godwin and Mike Evans, who are both being ranked in the top 10, top 12. Why can't Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley be the same thing? I'm more confident that Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley will finish in the top 12 compared to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin will finish in the top 12.
You think so? Oh, yeah. By the way, has Mike Evans gone off?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, so it comes to me, goes Melvin Gordon, David Johnson, and I'm going to go with a guy who I think a lot of people are sleeping on, and it's going to be my boy Adam Thielen.
Ooh, baby. That's who I was going to grab when I was over here.
Yeah. I love Adam Thielen this year. I think with no Stephon Diggs, he could really step in and be that, true number 1 wide receiver. Just a, hashtag interesting stat right here. So in 2018, he was the 7th ranked wide receiver in terms of Pro Football Focus grade. And last year, from weeks 1 to 6, before he got injured, he was the 8th highest graded wide receiver. So, I mean, no more Stephon Diggs. I think it's just prime for him to have a monster year. I mean, he could push, 130, 140 targets. And, I mean, don't forget that one year with Kirk Cousins, he started the season on, 8, 9 straight 100-plus yard games. I mean, he's obviously the guy, and you don't have to worry about it. Can he beat man coverage? Can he, beat this, The connection and the rapport between him and Kirk Cousins is there. So I think, I love Adam Thielen. I think he's a top 10 wide receiver. And I don't think he's getting top 10 wide receiver love, though.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that. I think he just works like he's like one of those guys. He just really has had to prove himself, and he's kind of had that chip on his shoulder. So it's like that every year he's going to come into the league and put out like the most effort. He's not going to just hang out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, say less.
All right, so I'm in a tricky situation right here. I'm pretty much just trying to go off what I feel like the best player available is. I mean, there's some pretty good players left, a lot of good wide receivers, so I might wait just because I can get another wide receiver on these later rounds. I might try to look at running back right here. I'm kind of torn Fournette. I mean, I think, I like Fournette a lot. I'm not sure. Singletary's there. You got Gurley. This is a tricky spot right here.
I too like Fournette.
Yeah.
But it's just he seems like one of those guys where I don't know. I just where he's at, I don't know. I wish the Pittsburgh signed him.
Yeah. I think I'm going to double down on the Falcons offense right here, and I'm going to go with Todd Gurley. I mean, he's got something to prove.
Nice.
He's back home in Georgia. He's pretty much on a one-year prove-it contract deal. So if he wants to get like another nice little contract, he's going to have to go out there and perform. Obviously, playing indoors on the turf field, maybe that'll help the knee a little bit. Who knows? I'll take a gamble on Gurley. And he's my RB2, basically. So I'm not really banking on him to be my RB1 in previous years.
Right.
As long as he can just be a top 20 running back, he's my RB2 because I already have Miles Sanders slated in as my RB1.
You know what's funny is we have that. Remember when we were we were joking about like getting girls at the bar and like comparing them to running backs and stuff. Like this girl's my RB1, whatever.
Yeah.
It's funny. It seems like it wasn't that long ago, but we were talking about like, this person's Saquon, this person's Zeke, but he's my Gurley. Remember Anthony made that joke?
Yeah.
As like he was making the joke that Gurley was the number one. It's just not that long ago. And look you're getting Gurley in the 4th round. It's just so interesting that year to year it changes so damn much,
Yeah.
Odell Beckham Jr. comes off the board. Wonder when Jarvis Landry comes off. A little bit. Jarvis Landry's ADP has fallen behind Odell's now, but because I know for a while it was like they were right on each other.
Yeah, I think the closer we get to draft season, you're going to see the name value of who Odell is.
Yeah.
That's obviously going to catapult him
Definitely
above Landry, but I'll take Landry 10 out of 10 times every single day. I'm going to take Landry. I know the hip was kind of a red flag. Him coming off the hip surgery, but the medicine man came on and said that it's kind of like something that we shouldn't be too highly concerned about, and he should be good to go. And Juice is one of the best all around wide receivers out there. I mean, maybe he's not the most explosive, stretch the field kind of guy, but he's the kind of guy where, especially in PPR leagues, he's a monster.
And he goes and grabs. So, yeah, so we by the way, if you guys, we keep talking about the medicine man, he just drafted Leonard Fournette. And Chris Carson just came off, which is another guy that. So the medicine man on our last podcast, it's episode 23. We had, like I said earlier in this episode, is that Medicine Man's a physician assistant, and he was able to help us and give us a call and break down these guys' injuries like in depth. So he went over Chris Carson, Jarvis Landry, Dalvin Cook, a bunch of these different guys in this last episode, and like went in depth and broke these guys down on how serious their injuries actually are. Because it's like we always talk about is sometimes we're talking about these guys and we're like, oh yeah, this is the injury, it's this, and to be honest, we have no idea, like in depth how bad the injury is.
Yeah. So AJ Brown comes off the board next, and I feel like he's been pretty much coming off the board around the 4th round right here. He's one of these guys where I love AJ Brown. I think he's super talented. You know me, I love Tannehill, but I think the 4th round is too rich for my liking.
Yeah. I don't know, man. He really showed up last year. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I get what you're saying, but I don't know if it's too far ahead. But talking about going too far ahead, I'm going to go ahead and do this.
Cam Akers, nice.
I mean, it seems like he's taking over that backfield. And if he does, I mean, and they run somewhat, I think we'll see, like we talked about, because they announced Hard Knocks is going to be Rams and Chargers, and so we'll be able to see like more in depth on kind of maybe the offensive scheme or if things are going to change or how useful. I feel like you do get a lot of useful information, especially for fantasy on Hard Knocks. So it'll be good to see that. But I mean, if he does end up becoming like that strength running back, then I mean, you're getting an RB1 in the 4th round. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, no, I love Cam Akers. So just a stat I saw in the Sean McVay offense, the couple years he's been the coach, the lead running back has had 14 total touchdowns, 21 total touchdowns, and 19 total touchdowns the last 3 years. Obviously, that's Gurley. I mean, you go out and get Cam Akers to replace Gurley. I mean, if you're telling me double-digit touchdowns is the floor and I'm getting a guy in the 4th round who's going to get me 10, 12 touchdowns, yeah, sign me up all day, every day. I'd love some Cam Akers, especially if you're in a dynasty or in a startup league. Yeah, get Cam Akers because I think he's primed for a pretty good rookie year. I mean, potentially could be rookie of the year in a sense, I mean, if the guy comes out and gets 1,100 plus total yards and then 10 plus touchdowns, I mean, how could you not argue for him being a rookie of the year candidate?
Yeah, how could you not? All right, then Raheem Mostert comes out, then Devin Singletary. What do you think about Niners backfield? I feel like it was so all over the place last year.
I think I'm going to be staying away from the Niners backfield. Obviously, Raheem Mostert, crazy tail end of the year, but I mean, we saw Tevin Coleman have some monster games as well, and he's obviously familiar with that Shanahan offense from his days back in Atlanta with Shanahan. I don't think Tevin Coleman goes away. I don't think he just gets phased out of the offense completely. So I think you're going to see some games where Tevin Coleman, kind of like the hot hand. I think Shanahan feeds the hot hand. Obviously, Mostert was the hot hand towards the end of the year, but I think there's going to be some games where Coleman comes in and he's hot and like Hansel, and he's, it's going to be a Tevin Coleman game, and then some games it'll be a Mostert game, and I just don't want to play that Russian roulette back and forth.
So hot right now.
Yeah, so I'm personally going to be fading the Niners running backs. Obviously, whoever the running back is in the Niners offense is going to put up some fantasy points. Me personally, I just don't want to be playing the guessing game back and forth. But after Mostert, it goes Devin Singletary, who I personally think people are sleeping on as well. I know they drafted Zach Moss, but he's still a rookie. He's still got to come in and learn the playbook. He's got to learn how to be able to pass pro, all that stuff. I think Devin Singletary is being slept on, and some people might think the 4th round is pretty high to be drafting him, but I think, that's a guy. He's a playmaker. So, yeah, I love me some Devin Singletary.
Devin Singletary.
And then after that, it goes T.Y. Hilton, Juju Smith-Schuster, who's, I mean, let's say Juju comes out and he has a monster year. Would you consider him a candidate for comeback player of the year? Would that be considered a comeback player of the year? Or?
I think, yeah. I think you like really hammered in it is hard to judge off this past year.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of things that changed there, but yeah, I mean, he did not do very well last year. Yeah. And I drafted him in the tail end of the 1st round, and I almost did it because it was just a homer pick for me, to be honest. But then Justin goes away from a running back and goes ahead and grabs a wide receiver.
He's going 0 running back strategy, but he's got a nice 1-2-3 combo at receiver. Devontae Adams, Juju, and DK Metcalf. I love DK Metcalf too this year. One of my favorite, middle round, I guess, receivers you could say. Like I said, there's a lot of good receivers right here. I mean, you're getting Odell going in the 4th, A.J. Brown, T.Y. Hilton, Juju, and then coming to the 5th round, you're getting Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, and there's still a lot of good receivers that are on the board that are going to come off in the next round or two right here.
I feel like there's a top 5 or 6 receivers, and then from 7 to it seems like this is just might be my opinion, but it seems like 7 to 24 could all vary almost.
Yeah.
Does that make sense or no?
No, for sure, yeah. So AJ Green comes off the board next. I guess you could say he's primed to be one of the best bounce back or comeback player of the year candidates.
Yeah.
I mean, you tie him with Joe Burrow, and we saw him just light it up in college this last year, winning the Heisman, winning the national championship. I mean, when you're throwing guys like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, I mean, AJ Green is, I would say, better than those guys. I know he's on the tail end of his career in a sense and coming off an injury, but I mean, AJ Green is still a super talented player, and obviously Joe Burrow is not afraid to air it out. So yeah, AJ Green, sneaky value right there in the 5th round.
5th round for sure. I went ahead and grabbed Robert Woods. Brandon Cooks leaves the Rams. You know, I'm double dipping with this Rams offense right here, which I just realized.
Not bad. I did the same with the Falcons.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. Then after me goes Jonathan Taylor. What I don't really know how I feel about Jonathan Taylor, just especially with I think is Marlon Mack still out there?
He's still out there, yeah.
Okay.
But to the Jonathan Taylor's defense, if the Colts were so high on Marlon Mack, you wouldn't go out and I don't say waste or spend that second round draft capital on a guy like Jonathan Taylor, who was really impressive in Wisconsin in college. I mean, he kind of reminds you like an AP kind of, when he first came in the league. Like, the guy just hits the hole, and if it's there, he's gone. You're not catching him, So
here we go. And then we got Keenan Allen goes off the board, which is that's pretty crazy. Keenan Allen going so far, but I mean, it's like, who do you have?
Yeah.
Throwing you the ball, you don't know really. Tyler Lockett, not a bad one. Rob Gronkowski goes. I don't really. I think me and you are the same way. We don't know how we feel about Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, tough to really gauge him. I mean, he sat out for a full year, so I mean, I would like to think that his body is 100%. Because he's obviously banged up. So many surgeries that guy's had. He's like the bionic man. Like RoboCop. I mean, he could come back and be. Still pretty good. I mean, even if he doesn't have a ton of catches and a ton of yards, I mean, could he get like 8 touchdowns? And as we touched on when we did the tight ends, if you get 4 or 5 touchdowns, that's a lot for a tight end. So if he's getting 8, 9 touchdowns, it's pretty good.
Right. I mean, yeah, he could be like similar to the way Derrick Henry just kind of falls in the end zone. I feel like Gronk is like Tom Brady's dude. They just have, but they still have Cameron Brate and OJ Howard there.
Yeah.
So seems kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
And we didn't see OJ Howard. And everybody who drafted OJ Howard was hella pissed last year. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of staying away from Gronk though.
Yeah. The Messiah goes with his guy, one of his man crushes, Stephon Diggs. I think he's one of the harder guys to really gauge because, I mean, we see Josh Allen rushing the ball so much. I mean, how much is he going to get? For me personally, I'm going to get a lot of John Brown because he already has the rapport. He already knows the offense. Obviously, Josh Allen is comfortable throwing him the ball. So I'm going to have a lot of John Brown and probably no Stephon Diggs shares going into this next year.
Yeah.
Comes to me, I take my boy Juice. I fucking love Landry. He's one of my favorite players. Another guy who, like I said, we're starting a dynasty, and I'm probably going to be trying to get I'm going to be aiming to get Jarvis Landry for sure. I'm telling you guys all my secrets right now, but love me some Jarvis Landry right here. He's my third wide receiver, so I mean
that's great. That's really great.
Yeah,
especially
I'm stoked for that.
We're mocking for a half point PPR, but I mean if this was, yeah, that's awesome.
I like it.
Listen, you know what? Ooh, look at that pick, and Tyler's back on the board.
The testosterone high today.
The testosterone is high today. Tyler with his second, or what is this? We're in the 6th round now. We're just flying through this draft, huh? Some of the picks.
All right, so it's
I like
on
your
me.
team right now.
It goes Cortland Sutton, DeAndre Swift. It's on me. I've been going this trend: receiver, running back, receiver, running back, receiver. Let's see what running backs are here. See if I like anybody. I'm not gonna reach for running back just because I feel like I need one. Probably trying to go best available. Let's see what Sleeper thinks. This Sleeper bot's kind of weird. Like the rankings are kind of all over the place. I mean, I'm kind of one of those guys where I'll wait on a tight end, to see what's available. I'm not going to reach for these tight ends. Obviously I would like to get a Kelsey if I could, but obviously you're going to have to spend a high draft pick on him. So I don't know. I feel right here we're in the 6th round, and I see a guy like Mark Andrews who led the NFL in end zone targets for tight ends. Obviously, that's kind of Lamar Jackson's go-to guy. He's got double-digit touchdown upside. He did it last year. I know they went out and they got Duvernay, James Proche in the draft. But I'll take a shot right here on Mark Andrews to be a top 5 tight end again in that Ravens offense.
I like it.
I was like, oh, say less.
Mark Andrews. You know what? I feel like what I always end up doing in a lot of mock drafts or just drafts in general is I always like, I could get another tight end. I could get a tight end. I could get a tight end. I try and push it so far down that sometimes I end up like missing on those late round tight ends that I want. And so I'm not mad at where you're grabbing Mark Andrews. I like that. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, me, I'm pretty high on Hayden Hurst, and normally I would probably wait for him, especially in most leagues. People aren't going to know who Hayden Hurst are. Obviously, we do the podcast, and with my boys like Spatty and Niz and Dre, Anthony, we're all in the league together. That's a really competitive league. Everyone's on top of their shit. So obviously, to get a guy like Hayden Hurst, people are going to know about him. So normally in other leagues, I'd probably wait on him, but I mean, I'm already in this mock draft for the sake of it. I already have Julio Jones. I already have Gurley, so I probably don't want to get a third Falcon. So, yeah, I went Mark Andrews right there. It was tough between Mark Andrews and Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
After, talking to the medicine man on the injury report, thinking Alshon might not be 100%. I actually read something the other day talking about Rager, how they want him to really, sit behind Deshaun Jackson and learn from him. So it's I don't know how much Jalen Rager is going to be incorporated in the offense.
Right.
Deshaun Jackson, I know Anthony was talking about, as one of his sleepers for another episode we do in the future. I'm kind of thinking, can Zach Ertz actually be that third tight end? Because to me, that's really Carson Wentz's security blanket. That's really his go-to guy right there. So it was tough between Mark Andrews and Zach Ertz for me in that spot.
Yeah. And by the way, because we just did this last second, but there's some guys going out here like Julian Edelman. I like that you snuck and grabbed Jarvis Landry, and it's not because I'm talking. I'm not really looking deep at these farther guys. What I'm saying is that these guys kind of hide down below in here, so it's good to have your rankings list ready and ready to go while you're drafting. You know what I mean? Because then you'll obviously miss on.
Yeah,
even when you're mocking is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's good to go through if
draft.
you have the list. I always print out a sheet. I'll usually print out an ESPN sheet because I feel that's kind of the standard. You just have your regular people who play fantasy. They always go for the ESPN,
and it helps you
sheet.
know.
So I can know what they're looking at.
Yeah,
I can know what they're thinking mentally. But then I'll have my own personal sheet.
Well, you know what I started doing too is I'll bring 10 sheets all with with rankings from maybe a shittier rankings list, and then and I'll give them out to people. I did that in the
trickery.
I did that. I didn't even end up winning, so it's not really that great of a strategy. But I did that in that Liquid League low-key last year.
Yeah.
Hopefully nobody's listening that I was in that league with.
All right, so it goes. I go Mark Andrews, Marquise Brown, Julian Edelman, Michael Gallup, Zach Ertz, and now Niz, a.k.a. the champ in one of our leagues. He's on the clock.
What, one of the old champs, huh?
He is the current champ right now in the longest fantasy league that I've been in personally.
Very good. Wow. There's I don't really like where I'm at, to be honest, right now. My team, but you got to move on, baby. Where did he go? Darius Geis. If Darius Geis could be healthy, who's out there that's still is kind of wild is Damian Williams. I know Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's there, but it's
yeah. I still think Damian Williams will get some type of run.
Right,
he's not going to be phased
saying.
out of. Yeah, for sure.
And we're gonna go here. I'm gonna jump the gun here, maybe. All right, I'm doing it. I don't like my team at all. I absolutely hate my team. I have someone with coronavirus. Austin Eckler, DJ Chark. This is just. I need to change my username. What do you think? Terry McLaurin comes off. Terry McLaurin, really scary Terry is what they like to call him in some areas. You know what I mean?
I was like, oh, say less.
I do know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Fucking send it in.
I accidentally pressed it twice.
Fucking send it in.
Fuck it, send it in, Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack killed it for me last year, though.
Yeah.
I will say. It's just hard with all these rookies coming in. Cheaper, better. I think that they could definitely run both of them, though. Do you think?
For sure. I think we've seen a couple. I mean, I know when Chubb came in, Carlos Hyde was obviously the running back, and he was actually doing really well for the Browns. So for those first couple weeks, they obviously shipped him off to Jacksonville, and then it was the Nick Chubb show, and Nick Chubb was just balling. So, I mean, it happens like that sometimes. They got to give these rookies a little bit. Even Kerryon Johnson, his first year in the league, like they really didn't just hand him the keys to the car in a sense. It kind of took a while. He was only getting a couple touches here and there, and he's putting up some pretty good numbers. It was kind of frustrating. You're just like, oh, give him the ball. So, I think Marlon Mack still gets utilized. I think long term for sure, especially in Dynasty, Jonathan Taylor is definitely the guy you want to have.
Right.
But we'll just see what happens. Marlon Mack, one thing I can say is I've had him the last couple of years, and there'd be some games where he'd have like 20 rushes for like 30 yards or 40 yards, and it's like I don't understand. But then some games he'd have 20 rushes for 150 yards. So he's one of those guys where it's hard to really gauge. And I think that's why the Colts, they kind of saw that, and they saw he was a little injury riddled, and that's why they went out and got Jonathan Taylor.
I like, and then Justin, it looked like Justin it seems like Justin just pressed the next top two running backs available.
Yeah, I was liking Justin's draft. I don't know if he's drunk or high right now or both, but he goes Ronald Jones and Kerryon Johnson. That's what would Estancia say?
Gross.
Yeah, so Rudy takes Devontae Parker. It's just crazy seeing Devontae Parker going in the 6th round. I mean, I know he had a crazy year.
My fingers hurt.
Obviously, Preston Williams, we touched on it in a future episode as Preston Williams, was a 1A, 1B with Devontae Parker before he tore his ACL in like week 8 or something like that. I love Devontae Parker. I do think it's kind of hard to gauge him, but I've seen some rankings where he's going in the top 10, top 15 of overall wide receivers, but then this is our 3rd mock draft, and he's been going in the 6th, 7th round in every single one of these mock drafts, and
people are sleeping on him
that's
for
probably
sure.
where I would gauge him. I feel comfortable taking him there. I don't know if I would reach for him in like the 4th or 5th round because you just don't know. There are some question marks with Devontae Parker, but I mean, we saw what he's capable of finally last year, and if he could just really translate and keep that going into this year, I'm pretty hyped to see what he could do. In another year with Fitzmagic and stuff like that. And then obviously there's the question mark if Tua steps in and takes over. Like, how will Tua distribute the ball compared to what Fitzmagic was doing? So, but yeah, I love me some Devontae Parker. You know that.
Yeah, you do. You love him. All right, I'm going to sit. You know what I'm doing? I'm drafting the number 1 receiver in Houston in the 7th round. And that's
Nice,
how
I like it.
That's how I'm angling it, dude.
Fuck it, send it in.
Oh, whoops. That's a hard part about the soundboard. It's hard to.
I just hope we can win a game.
That's what Bill O'Brien's thinking.
I like it.
Bend the wire! Bend the
Oh,
wire!
whoops.
Bend the
I
wire!
gotta get better at that.
Justin's texter, like, give me more credit on the podcast. Justin, I was giving you credit, bro. I was giving you mad love, but Ronald Jones,
Yeah, I
Kerryon
think
Johnson.
you know what though, we just don't like Tampa Bay running backs.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And plus they drafted what's his name there, Keyshawn Vaughn, right? That's right.
Keyshawn Vaughn, yeah.
Keyshawn Vaughn.
We'll see, though. I mean, Ronald Jones, I think they're going to give Ronald Jones the opportunity to be the guy, and we'll see if he can be the guy. Obviously, not the best pass catcher. I know Anthony knows a lot more about Ronald Jones than I do personally, but I think Ronald Jones is going to get the first crack at it, and then we'll see if Keyshawn Vaughn can take over. I just don't think, when we were going over the rookies, when we were going over the dynasty segments, I just am not impressed with Keyshawn Vaughn. I don't think he's anything
He
spectacular.
went to what, Vanderbilt?
Yeah, when we were watching the highlights, breaking down the rookies, it was just, he's just he's and I just don't think that he's anything impressive.
Evan, it seems as though you drafted Deebo Samuel and you might not know about his injury. And if you want to know about his injury, check out episode 23 because the medicine man broke down what happened. He broke his foot and it's looking like he might have to get surgery now with that broken foot. Medicine man updated us, but he did say in that episode, if he does have to get surgery, he could be out for a while. Still could possibly be ready week 1, but could end up being what do you say, weeks? What do you say, 4 or 5 weeks? Extra?
Something like that, yeah. He was saying how the blood flow to that specific area is limited, so his recovery could, be hindered. So we'll just got to keep an eye on it, But I think Deebo, one of my favorite receivers in this draft. So we'll see how that works out, and maybe maybe his value slips and you can grab him. He's one of those guys where I'm gladly going to take Debo and I'll just sit on him. I'll hold him. Even if I have to wait 3-4 weeks, I'll just sit on him because I feel like when he comes back, he's pretty much the guy that the offense is going to move through outside of George Kittle through the air. You know, I love Debo. You know, one of those guys that, you know, they incorporate him on the ground as well, those end-around sweeps and stuff like that. So after him, it goes Jordan Howard, the medicine man. Let me ask you this, though. So Philip Lindsay goes in the 7th round, and then you had Melvin Gordon go in the – where did Melvin Gordon go? I'm trying to find him. In the 3rd round? Yeah, 3rd round.
Yeah.
So for me personally, obviously you go out and get Melvin Gordon. But, I mean, it's hard to see a scenario where Philip Lindsay is just phased out of this offense.
No, yeah. I actually just read up a big article about how Philip Lindsay, yet again, another year where he has to prove himself as like the main, their guy there.
Yeah.
And it talks about a bunch of different things. But yeah, I think you're right though, it's like the dude was so productive. I think Denver's offense in general is going to be pretty good too.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be similar to the way that I kind of like looking at the Cardinals. I feel like the Broncos are going to, with Drew Lock coming in last year, he seemed like he's really turning that team around a little bit offensively. And I think you'd be surprised. You could see some high scoring games with the Broncos next year.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's going to be like a 1A, 1B scenario. I think it's going to be a full-blown running back by committee. Even last year with Royce Freeman, who wasn't really anything impressive, you know, it was 1A, 1B with Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman. So I don't think Philip Lindsay goes away. And then you're talking about a 4-round difference between Melvin Gordon and Philip Lindsay. Obviously, you know me too. I'm big on if you trade for someone or if you sign someone in free agency, you're going to utilize them. I mean, they're not paying Melvin Gordon $8 million a year to not be utilized. So I think he's going to be the main guy. But, man, I still think Philip Lindsay's kind of being disrespected in these later rounds.
Yeah.
You know, I'll gladly take Philip Lindsay instead of taking Melvin Gordon.
Philip Lindsay went, what, correct me if I'm wrong, was that 2nd or 3rd round last year?
He was going pretty high up there.
Like
3rd, 4th round, I'd probably say. Somewhere in there.
I don't know. Or you know what? It's screwing me up. It's because our boy CJ drafted him pretty high in one of our leagues, didn't he?
Yeah.
He drafted him in like the end of the second or beginning of the 2nd round. Excuse me. Yeah. I'm 100% with you on the Philip Lindsay. I love Kyler Murray. I think that was an auto draft pick, just with the rushing upside. I'm just, I'm a Steelers fan, but I'm from Arizona, so it's like obviously I watch the Cardinals, so it would be kind of nice to have a Cardinals player on my team.
Yeah, no, I love Kyler Murray this year. I mean, he's got what? I mean, you go out and get a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. You still got Larry Legend, who's got more tackles than drops in his career, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk, I know that was one of your man crushes. Still a really good receiver, and then Drake too. I think this Cardinals offense is really is going to be potentially a top 5 offense in the NFL. So I'm going to go running back right here. We touched on one of these running backs in the Patriots offense in the future episode that's going to drop in the future as a bust. Spoiler alert, there's a guy who's going to be a bust. I think James White right here, who's a guy who, I mean, he's basically a solid like low end RB2 flex guy, especially in PPR leagues. Half-point PPR leagues a little bit too, but I mean, Sony Michel is not very good. I don't know what it is, the injury. I don't know, he just doesn't seem to be the same Sony Michel. Obviously, they have Damian Harris. He could eat some into some of these running back snaps as well. But, if there's going to be a guy who Bill Belichick trusts, I think it's James White. We don't know what to expect from Stedman, if I'm pronouncing that right. We don't know what to expect from him, but
Jeff Stidham.
I mean, James White's always a guy who's utilized in the passing game. I mean, you got Edelman, you got Sanu, N'Keal Harry, but I think James White is going to be one of the centerpieces in this offense. And he's my 3rd running back. He's going to be like a flex guy for me right here, or maybe like a bye week fill-in, because Miles Sanders and Todd Gurley are my go-to guys right here. And then I'm just going to double down on some more running back depth right here. This is actually a guy who I'm curious to see where he's getting drafted. I'm drafting him in the 8th round, but I think in home leagues and in just regular leagues, he's going to be drafted even way later. He might even go undrafted in some leagues, but I'm going to go Matt Breida right here, the homer pick on the Dolphins. Let's see, I got a pretty good stat on Matt Breida. I'm pull it up real quick.
Yeah. I mean, You guys, I'm not mad at that at all. Those are two receivers, especially at half-point PPR. James White with the PPR upside. Matt Breida coming in was doing really well last year. Obviously, it's like a new system and whatnot, but I think, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
can't go wrong with that.
Matt Breida led all running backs in the NFL in breakaway percentage. Those are rushes of 15 or more yards. So that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I mean, we saw, I know if you watched Monday Night Football, I think it was the Niners versus the Cleveland Browns. First play of the game, I believe it was. He takes like an 80-yard touchdown to the house. So I think the Dolphins got a good little combo of the little thunder, lightning with Jordan Howard and Matt Breida. I think Matt Breida is being slept on. I think he's going to be one of the better late-round running backs that you can get, that you can throw in there in your flex spot. Or, I mean, let's say you're stacked across the board. Let's say you go quarterback heavy. You draft Mahomes, Lamar Jackson these first couple rounds. Even maybe then you go Kelsey too. Kind of like how Justin did. I would have rather taken a Matt Breida over a guy like Ronald Jones or Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon Johnson worries me with the injury history, and they go out and get DeAndre Swift. So, yeah, I'd rather take a guy like Matt Breida in these later rounds that I can throw in there. And
right.
For his explosive ability, that he doesn't need 15, 20 touches to get it done. He might only see 10, 12 touches a game, but he has the ability at any given point to take one of those touches to the house. And, I'm looking for that home run play.
It's really funny that he auto-drafted Sony Michel after we just, in the future, recorded a little bust episode on Sony Michel.
Yeah.
He was literally just talking about him. Anyways, so Sony Michel goes off. We've said before, I don't like Sony Michel.
No.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty far down there, though, to get Sony. Maybe if I was in a standard league, that's not a bad late. I mean, the 8th round is pretty wild, don't you think?
Sony Michel?
That's kind of low. That's kind of late for like technically the starting running back in New England.
He'd be on my do not draft list. Do not draft list. He just looked terrible.
Not good.
Yeah, he just looked not good.
Maybe I guess a later round sleeper as a Patriots backfield is what's his name? Damian Harris. Is that his name? The rookie they grabbed last year.
Damian Harris. Yeah. So
he's
actually one of those guys.
Grab him in like the 14th, 15th round, something, because maybe he will be undrafted. You could possibly just check the waiver wire and go pick him up.
So after that it goes Russell Wilson, who I think that's my MVP candidate this year. Russell Wilson. I'm doubling down. I'm gonna throw some money on him. I think he was like 12-1 to win the MVP. So probably throw a little bit of bread on Russell Wilson. And then the medicine man, he goes with Jamison Crowder, who was, spoiler alert, my sleeper.
Sleeper.
So I think Jamison Crowder is not getting enough love. I mean, I think we broke it down. 24.7% target share. It was the 13th most amongst all wide receivers. So, I mean, he's basically the number one wide receiver on that Jets offense. And we've seen how Adam Gase really likes to hone in on the slot wide receiver. That's predominantly where Jamison Crowder will line up. I know they get Brashard Perryman, but he's still got to learn the playbook. You draft Denzel Mims, but he's still got to learn the playbook. He's a rookie. He's really got to learn how to become a pro. Making that transition. So I think Jamison Crowder is going to be the go-to guy in that Jets passing attack.
I don't know where to put your camera.
Yeah. After that, it goes Aaron Rodgers and Tyler Boyd. Which, I mean, you're getting Tyler Boyd in the 8th round. It's just crazy to me. I mean, I think obviously AJ Green's going to be the go-to guy, but I think Tyler Boyd is phenomenal middle round wide receivers. Like I said, when I feel like you can grab some great wide receivers in the middle rounds. I mean, look at the receivers that just kind of went off. You got Brandon Cooks, Deebo Samuel, Jamison Crowder, and Tyler Boyd coming off in the 7th, 8th round. It really makes you want to reevaluate, like, man, let me just stack up on running backs my first 4 picks, because I feel like running backs come at a premium, and then I'll just grab a bunch of these late round wide receivers and but I'm stacked at running back,
I was listening to you and I wasn't.
Yeah.
All right.
But you get your guy, your man crush right there.
I'm not mad at it. I mean, that's low-key why you throw. That's why you go ahead and you throw those in your, what do they call it? When you're in your queue. So that way, if you do mess up, you get your boys. Yeah, I'm not mad at. I love Christian Kirk, man. I think that with DeAndre Hopkins, you're gonna see an opening for Christian Kirk there. I don't think it hurts his value as much as I think it helps it, to be honest. I think there's only a couple different receivers that are gonna take where defenses are gonna game plan for them, and DeAndre Hopkins is one of them. And I think that leaves Christian Kirk available on the side.
For sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? There's only who else gets double coverage, or who else gets like straight up man coverage?
Yeah.
Besides like Hopkins and Devontae Adams and people like that. So I think that's just going to leave an opening for Christian Kirk.
Yeah. Spatty goes with Deontay Johnson, one of our favorite, late round wide receivers. I guess you could consider Deontay Johnson a sleeper, but I mean, I'll give Spatty a lot of credit. He's on his shit. I remember one year, just kind of jumps to my memory, was this is before we did the podcast. Kind of just, I can't remember how many years we've been doing fantasy for, but I remember we were going to do the draft, and we're like in the fourth or fifth round, something like that. And my boy Spatty, he drafts. He goes, check out this guy I'm about to draft. He's about to be a stud. He drafts Arian Foster, and I'm thinking like, who the fuck is Arian Foster? I've never even heard of the guy. I don't even know who that is. That was the year that Arian Foster just burst onto the scene, and he was like the RB1. And so, yeah, Spatty's really good. He's always on his shit. So, yeah, he takes Deontay Johnson. He's obviously onto it, and he knows that he's probably primed for a big year. Like I said, look at these receivers, bro, that are coming off the board. Like I said, every time we do this mock draft, that's all I keep thinking about. And it really makes me want to, maybe I'll grab one of these top-tier wide receivers, like I said, a Julio. But after that, I might have to just go running back heavy, because there's just so much talent left at the wide receiver position compared to the running backs.
It really is. It really is. It drops off, because like I was even just looking at the running backs right now. Let's see. The running backs right now, I think there was one that was like technically a starter, or possibly could be, is like Keyshawn Vaughn. But then it's like Madison, Murray, Darrell Henderson, backup. Tony Pollard, backup. Treat Cohen, PPR, kind of upside guy.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all Chase Edmonds, Justin Jackson. What's it called?
It's pretty bleak.
Duke Johnson.
Right? But then you're getting guys, like I said, I mean, in this round, compared to like, those running backs compared to like Amani Sanders, Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk, Tyler Boyd, Jamison Crowder, even Marvin Jones, who's been sneaky good for a couple years in Detroit.
It's like, check it out. I get Christian Kirk I get DJ Chark in the third round, which is like, obviously I accidentally picked that one, or no, that's not a good example. I guess you could say, I don't know, Robert Woods and Christian Kirk are 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds apart, but you could see Christian Kirk possibly doing just as well as Robert Woods. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, or vice versa. I don't know. There's a bunch of different. Tyler Boyd and AJ Brown could swap.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And that's what 4 rounds apart.
Yeah.
Am I making a case here, or are you just agreeing with me?
You want me to lie to you or tell you the truth?
No. I mean, tell me the truth, dude.
All right, so Justin keeps piling up these backup running backs after he went Devontae Adams with the first overall pick.
He texted us and said, "Stop making fun of me."
Guys. I mean, listen, sometimes we do the podcast, like, look, we're trying to help you, how to, win your league and what to draft and stuff. But you know what? Justin's out here showing you what to not do.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He's gonna
Shut up. I think that was me. Well, we're going into what is this?
We are going into the ninth round. So
9th round.
Yeah.
Betos is at the bar right now, who's picking right now. So he said his neighborhood bar just reopened, which he's excited about.
So he's lit?
Yeah, pretty much. I told him, I said, it's okay, you can be, because there's always one really drunk guy at the draft. And it can be you. You know what I mean? And it can be you.
How to enter it.
How to enter.
How to enter.
Click now. No flub.
Yeah, pick something, you nerd. Yeah, he's got one of those bars near his house that's like you could throw a rock at it. It's super close. You know?
Yeah.
That's the Brestus. So he goes auto pick.
Brestus.
Mm-hmm. Will Fuller, wow. That's what I mean. Look at Will Fuller. We made a case for him being a sleeper
Yep.
before in the future. And that you're grabbing him in the 9th round. Love it. So what are you thinking going this round? Who are you going to take?
There's a couple players I've got right here. I mean, I've got 4 running backs. I've got 3 wide receivers. So I'm kind of looking at just who's best available. And I know, you know me, I'm always looking to trade. So sometimes it's like I'll draft someone, not necessarily because I'm going to keep that player or have it in mind like, okay, this is going to be my guy for the whole year. I'm thinking like trade equity now. I'm thinking like, okay, can I pair this player up in this round with another player and possibly trade to get someone else? I'm always looking at players as equity. So like, what can I, even if I have to give up, you know, in a sense, like you're giving up two dimes for a nickel, basically. You know what I'm saying? Even if I have to give up a little bit more just to get that guy, right now I'm looking at, okay, who can I get who's got some good value that I can flip to maybe upgrade somewhere, you know? Yeah. So we'll see if this guy falls to me because I think he's probably the best available. Let me see where he's at in terms of the overall ranking. So, yeah, he's pretty high up there in the terms of the overall ranking. So we'll see if he slips to me.
Well, I'm going to go deep because I only have 3 receivers and I don't like them. And I'm going to grab CeeDee Lamb.
Ooh, nice. Love CeeDee Lamb. Oh, and that was the guy right
Evan
there.
Ingram.
That's why he's the champ right there.
He's the champ. He heard you.
The champ goes with Evan Ingram. So, yeah, right there, even though I have Mark Andrews, I would have grabbed Evan Ingram if he fell to me. And I know I'm doubling down on tight end. But it's like now I have 2 really good tight ends. And now I can move one of these guys as a trade equity. I could possibly try to trade, you know, like maybe I'm not in love with Gurley in a sense, you know, but, you know, someone doesn't have a good tight end. So maybe I move Mark Andrews and Gurley and I get, you know, one of these other running backs, you know. Maybe I go out and I trade for a Kenyon Drake. Maybe I go out and I trade for a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, something like that, you know, just trying to upgrade a certain position, even though I got to trade 2 for 1, you know, but now I've got 2 really good tight ends. So that's kind of was going to be my strategy, to grab a guy like Evan Ingram.
I don't know how I feel about doing that with tight ends, though.
Yeah. Just depends. Sometimes like I said, it just depends. You know, sometimes I think at this point in the round, you pretty much have some good receivers. You got some, you know, running back. So it's kind of best player available.
I just feel like a lot of times you can get.
Pass the wire. Pass the wire.
You can check the waiver wire and get like a lot of tight ends.
For sure.
So I feel like for like trade equity, I feel like a lot of times with tight ends you don't get that. But although Evan Ingram is way up there though.
Yeah.
And when it comes to value, he does have the name value too. So you're making a case, baby. Darius Slayton goes in the 9th round. Absolutely killed it last year in New York. Well, not absolutely killed it, but did really well. Then it goes Drew Brees. A lot of quarterbacks going off. Anthony's up. Let's see who he picks. He went Russell Wilson, got that rushing upside. Quarterback. What will he do next? Well,
yeah, he goes double quarterback right here.
Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe he, like you said, trade equity. You know, obviously, Lamar Jackson's going to have a high premium. So if someone wants to trade for him, they're going to have to give up someone pretty good. So let's say he pairs a Melvin Gordon and Lamar Jackson. Maybe he can get one of these like top tier running backs. Maybe he can go in and get a guy like a Kamara or, you know, a Chubb, you know, but he ships off Melvin Gordon and Lamar Jackson. But now he's got Russell Wilson, so it works out for him.
Right. There's always that one guy at the draft that's always like, yeah, let me know when you need a quarterback that drafts all these quarterbacks early.
Yeah. I mean, you know me, I like drafting double quarterbacks. You know, I'll take 2 quarterbacks and I'll matchup base them. So
I always do that in like the last couple rounds. So sometimes it's hard with it's hard with these mocks.
Yeah. So Anthony gets auto picked right there. He goes another tight end, and I don't think he would have went tight end right there. But
no.
Hunter Henry was the best available on the board, so he got auto picked. And now the big Nick Diggers.
I don't even like saying that because I'm gonna mess it up and say the actual thing.
Yeah. are on the clock. We'll see what the Messiah does with this pick right here.
Yeah.
Still a lot of pretty good wide receivers on the board, or some guys who could be like, if you're in a if you're in a 3 wide receiver league, or you're in a double flex or a 2. I know there's some leagues that have like 3 or 4 flex players.
Yeah.
You know, there's still a lot of good receivers out here that you could throw into that flex spot. I feel like that are on the board. But when you look at the running backs, it's gross.
It's gross.
There's just nobody that you're feeling confident, bearing an injury to one of these other starters. Yeah, there's nobody on the running back spot that you really feel comfortable maybe outside of Latavius Murray. I think he was pretty utilized in that Saints offense. You know, kind of like a lesser version of, like a poor man's version of Mark Ingram last year. We still saw Latavius Murray being utilized.
Yeah, I think the running back thing is, so I forgot what I was about to say.
So he goes Carson Wentz right here. Kind of makes me want to grab a quarterback now. Like I said, I like going double quarterback. Carson Wentz is one of the guys I'm pretty hyped on. I'm sure skip to my Lou. Maybe he needs a quarterback.
Let me guess who you're gonna take. Matt Ryan.
You know what? You nailed it right on the head. Yeah. So I'm going to go right here for the double points to Julio Jones. I do like doing that, especially,
that's good.
In one of the leagues I do, it's 6 points per touchdown for a quarterback instead of the standard 4 points. So, I mean, if I get a Matt Ryan touchdown to Julio Jones, that's 12 points right off the jump, not even including the yardage, and if it's a PPR or half-point PPR, not even including those points. So sometimes these double points, especially when you get like 2 touchdowns to a certain player, could really, rack it up and, crush it for you. So I'll go Matty Ice.
Rack it up, stack it up.
Here.
My boy Tyler goes with the Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Hayden Hurst. No, wait, you didn't draft Hayden Hurst.
Or will I? Am I just going to go the whole Falcons offense?
Wait, did you draft Todd Gurley?
I drafted Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley.
I have 3 Atlanta Falcons. So.
Well, yeah, because you wanted to do. Wow, look at you.
Yeah. So Trey goes Deshaun Jackson, and he gets Tom fucking Brady in the 10th round.
Tom fucking Brady.
I mean, but look at that. I mean, Deshaun Jackson could easily be a top 25 wide receiver, and he's going in the back end, pretty much in the 10th round.
Yeah. That's what I like to call horny, baby.
Yeah. Talking about value right there.
Talking about value town.
I mean, if he could just stay healthy for a full 16 games, I mean, sky's the limit for a guy like Deshaun Jackson right there.
Deshaun Jackson, more like Deshaun value, baby.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Right here, I got a couple players in mind.
Won't.
In fantasy, you got to go for the guys you like.
Who you going for?
So I'm going to go with one of my personal man crushes. This one's tough because, no more Phillip Rivers. You got Tyrod Taylor. They go get Justin Herbert. But I'm going to go off just a pure physical standpoint and how talented this guy is. And, I just love him. But I'm going to go Mike Williams. I just love the talent aspect of this kid right here. This guy's just massive guy. And,
where was he going last year?
I feel like he was going like the 5th, 6th round.
Yeah, I would say that's true.
I'll take him in the 10th round. One of my favorite players.
That's what I like to call HORNY, horny, baby.
It'll be interesting to see when they film Hard Knocks. I'm curious to see how he's portrayed. Because, like when you watch Hard Knocks, they're always like hype up a certain player and people will be like, oh my God, he's so good. So I feel like you're really going to see how good he is. And you're going to see how massive and how big he is compared to the cornerbacks out there. And obviously the Chargers, they got some good cornerbacks. You got they signed Chris Harris Jr. from the Broncos. They have Casey Hayward. They have a good slot guy. His name is slipping my Desmond King is a slot guy. They got Derwin James as a safety, so
it's hard.
They have a really good secondary. So
I feel like as fantasy analysts, we know every offensive player so well, and it's just sometimes the defensive player. I feel like it just slips you.
So we'll see if you're watching Hard Knocks and Mike Williams is out here just torching those guys. I mean, this is going to be one of the best secondaries in the entire NFL. So if Mike Williams can go out here on Hard Knocks and torch those guys. I mean, you can only imagine what he'll be able to do.
Torch him
against
like
these
the
other
Flash?
guys.
Like the Flash did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it, man. I'm excited for Hard Knocks. I'm excited to get a little distracted. Obviously, we're putting out grade A content like on this for people to get distracted by, but I'm ready for some grade A Hard Knocks content. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are you?
Horny?
Yes.
All right, so the Messiah goes Austin Hooper, the Poopa Scoopa.
Hoopa. I'm
Let-
not, dude. I do not like Austin Hooper. I
It's
fucking
tricky. I
do
think
not
he's
like
gonna have
Austin
some good
Hooper.
games, and then
I don't like it.
That one's tricky. I think they're gonna run a lot of 2 tight end sets
Wait, who's the quarterback?
over there. The Bake Show, baby.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I do love me some Baker Mayfield. I'm on the
Yeah, no,
I'm on the positive side of the Baker Mayfield. If he falls to me in this next round,
You're on
I
the
will be
idiot-
grabbing me
you're on
some
the
Bake Show.
idiot poop farm. part.
After that, Latavius Murray going in the 10th round. It's probably the best available running back. You know, I think his value is probably a lot higher than a lot of the other running backs that went ahead of him, especially in the 10th round. And then the medicine man goes with Hayden Hurst, who I think is primed for
like
a
that.
massive breakout season.
I feel like the role in an offense is more important. I mean, obviously, like a person's talent obviously said something about them. Like there's players that have like a talent on another level, but when it comes to the Falcons tight ends, it seems like Hayden Hurst is just taking over the Austin Hooper role. Versus, I don't feel like, maybe I'm just an Austin Hooper hater, but I just don't feel like Austin Hooper is that huge, crazy, good athlete.
Yeah.
Versus,
You think it's more of the product of the system?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I could say with Hayden Hurst, and I think a lot of people don't understand this, but
I mean, he was
I
drafted
mean,
first
I
round,
feel like
right?
people kind of put these athletes on a pedestal, and they're kind of just thinking like, "Oh, you're so talented," like, and they just think of like every Sunday you're ready to go and primed out there. But you gotta think these athletes are just normal people like us. You know, they
Yeah,
have their
they're
lives,
human.
they have the day-to-day basis, the things they go through. And if your personal life, if things aren't in order, you got baby mama drama in a sense for some of these players, or you're dealing with mental, issues, depression, anxiety, and whatnot. It can really affect you when you're getting on the football field. Maybe you're not 100% dialed in because mentally, at the end of the day, if you're not mentally dialed in, how could your body and physically go out there and be able to perform? If you're not like all in, then what? It's like you don't care. So I know Hayden Hurst came out and said he was dealing with some depression and anxiety. Actually tried to take his life.
Wild.
Decent little
I think I told you
interview, that he had. But he said that he's feeling the best he's ever felt mentally, and he says he's primed to break out. He wants to go out there and he pretty much tweeted about it and said, Atlanta, you're gonna get the best version of me you can get. So
I'm pretty
hyped to see
Yeah.
what he could do out there. In
I was
Atlanta.
about to go John Brown, but I was like, your boy needs a quarterback.
Ooh, Matt Stafford.
So
in
I
the
go Matt
10th
Stafford.
round.
Matt Stafford broke his back last year, or he fractured something, part of his spine. Now we were like,
Spinal.
we were like wondering, oh, is that how serious is that? Well, we asked the medicine man, and he told us in that last episode. So if you want to go check that out, good information there too. Yeah. But yeah, I like Matt Stafford for the upside. I'm just for the sake of the mock draft, I'm drafting him now. But I think you could even wait later than this.
I mean, he comes
grab
off
him.
the board as the 13th quarterback in this mock draft.
Right.
But he has legit top 10
But if you
upside.
right. Let's see.
And you're getting him in the 10th
There's one
round.
person besides me that doesn't have a quarterback, or that didn't have a quarterback.
Yeah. I love Stafford. One of my favorite late round quarterbacks. You always hear me say I do like to pair up quarterbacks, especially in these later rounds. So, I mean, if I could get a Stafford and, potentially you could get a Stafford and a Breeze. You could get a Stafford and a Carson Wentz,
Yeah.
Stafford and a Matt Ryan.
Wait till pick.
Deshaun Watson went in the 8th round of here. You can get a Stafford and a Deshaun Watson in a sense, and you'd really just match up base these guys. I think that's personally the best way to really handle the quarterback position. Obviously, you get a guy like Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray. Those guys are set and forget it. You're not matchup basing those guys. Even to Deshaun Watson, you're not really matchup basing those guys. But I mean, you get a guy like I said, if you were to get a Matt Stafford and a Matt Ryan, I think you could matchup base those guys, and you're gonna be super stoked with the quarterback position in a whole that you have as your players.
Oh, I can't. Let's get these picks going, Blake. What the fuck?
So yeah, Zach Moss after that comes off the board.
Damn
Rudy
it.
takes Zach Moss. He kind of doubles down on that Buffalo backfield, just really locking that up in case anything happens to one of those guys. Noah Fant gets auto-picked by Blake. Obviously, this is a mock draft. So I know some of these guys, if you can't do the full draft, but I just appreciate everyone that jumped in. I know it was last second, so appreciate all you guys for jumping in and helping us out
you,
with
Justin.
this.
Even you. You know what,
Justin's
though?
on the clock.
Justin's grabbing all these backup running backs, but we're living in the time of the pandemic, dude.
Yeah.
These guys are going to get coronavirus, and who's got the backup? Justin. Justin's got the backup. I almost
He's
said his
like the
last
cloud, dude. He's got the backup.
name. He's like, Apple, where'd all my photos go? Oh, well, I backed it up on Justin's lineup.
Yeah.
He goes Sterling Shepard. He says, bye.
We just like giving Justin shit. And he goes,
Yeah.
he's so mad.
He's like the. Yeah.
Although I can say this, Justin just talks about how he's good in fantasy football. I'm just going to go off what I've seen from him personally. I've only done 2 leagues with Justin, and he's finished in last place both years. So
And
that's what I'm going to base it off of.
Listen, and we're not the type that will just shit all over Justin constantly. I mean, we do kind of, but we'll give it to him if he earns it, right?
Yeah,
we play poker at the house, right?
Yeah, and he's
And,
cashed every
he
time.
cashes. He's
Yeah.
the past 3 times he's cashed.
He is the house champ right now.
Does that mean he's cheating? Maybe. Could be.
No, he's the
No,
house
he's
champ.
good. He's a house champ at poker, which is like, you're kind of the guy with poker, but I mean,
Yeah, he's got
Justin,
more cashes than
Justin
me.
came
so-
in here and said, "Hold my beat."
Yeah, for sure.
And then he goes. Speaking of Justin, he goes Justin Jackson, another backup.
So he's got 4 backup running backs. I can't wait to see him. He's gonna be like,
So bad.
bro. You know what he's gonna say?
He's gonna say, "Bro, I got Justin Jackson. I got DK Metcalf, Juju." He's gonna go like this, Juju.
in the 4th round. We're gonna say something. He's gonna be like, "Oh, that's crazy."
And we're gonna say,
Oh, say less.
All right, so Blake is auto picked. We've got 10
It's all right,
seconds for
Blake.
him.
Blake's funny. He's probably shark-eyed Blake right now.
Yeah, he's probably gonna take Baker Mayfield right here since he's
Yeah.
the best available.
Well, I was gonna go.
And that was going to be my guy. I was going to try to match up him with Matt Ryan. And I think in all reality, Baker Mayfield probably would have slipped to me because he already has Deshaun Watson, Josh Allen, Dak. The only team that didn't have a quarterback was the champ.
Yeah, you
Niz.
think he's not gonna take?
So he might take Baker Mayfield. I'm not 100%
Might
sure.
have.
But realistically, Baker Mayfield had a good possibility falling to me. And I'm all in on Baker Mayfield. I think he has a massive bounce back year. Just some crazy stats on Baker Mayfield. I mean, in terms of like play action percentage, he was one of the best play action quarterbacks in the entire NFL. And in terms of wide receivers, Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham were the number 2 and number 3 ranked wide receivers for most receiving yards on play action passes. And then you have a guy like Nick Chubb, who is the number 1 rated running back in terms of being graded on Pro Football Focus. I think the thing last year was the offensive line was terrible, but they go out and they boost that up. They get Jedrick Willis from Alabama, the left tackle. They go out and get Jack Conklin from the Tennessee Titans at right tackle. So this offensive line is really stacked up and boost. I think this offensive line is going to be way better. It's going to be one of the better offensive lines in the entire NFL. So you're stacking that lineup. You have one of the best running backs in the game with Chubb. You know, you have weapons and Austin Hooper and Joku's still there, who's a threat. You have Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham. Yeah, I think Baker Mayfield is primed to have a really good year. So I would love to pair him up with a guy like Stafford or Matt Ryan, even Carson Wentz.
He goes Joe Burrow. Your boy goes Joe Burrow. He's quick with it, man.
Yeah.
So Mike Gesicki goes off. I pick Jonnu Smith. Is it Jonnu or Jonnu? Jonnu Smith. We talked about him being like in our one. I think in one of our Man Crush Monday episodes. Who picked him? Jonnu Smith. Was that Anthony?
Anthony, yeah.
Anthony did, yeah. But yeah, made a solid case for him. I like it. Late round. I almost was gonna pick another quarterback and see if Jonnu Smith came back around, but I ended up just going for it, baby. Who does anyone not have a tight end? Yeah, one person does not have a tight end. But yeah, like I've said before, is you got to experiment, dude. You got to really try and get some players that you wouldn't normally, or like get them in different rounds. Like see, okay, if I pick this guy here, will he come back around in the next round? And if he doesn't, maybe you can adjust that on the next mock draft you do.
Yeah.
So then we get Jared Cook. Another tight end goes off the board. Chase Edmonds, backup running back. Counting on our boy
Drake.
to catch coronavirus.
Drake. Whoa, don't put that on Drake, dude.
I'm just saying, I mean, Arizona is popping off, dude, as some might say, when it comes to coronavirus. So, it's possible. Henry Ruggs the third. Do you like Henry Ruggs? Or do you say who's throwing up the ball?
That's what I was going to say. I just don't trust Derek Carr.
Me neither, dude.
I don't trust Derek Carr. I mean, we
Well, it's
see
like, what
how
if
good
Marcus-
Amari Cooper is in Dallas, I know he's kind of been up and down in some of these games, but we see how good Amari Cooper really is, and we just seen how, just for whatever reason, Derek Carr just, I don't know. I mean, maybe I am sleeping on Darren Waller a little bit because at the end of the day, it comes down to Derek Carr, I think Mariota takes over that job, but even then, Mariota's not a guy who's really stretching the field, so that's just a tricky situation. I'm probably avoiding all receivers over there personally.
Yeah, I mean, we do make the case that quarterbacks will have this rapport with their tight ends.
Yeah,
that are not as good or not, So Sid from Toy Story could, have that rapport with Darren Waller. He's obviously shown that before,
for sure.
I just don't know how I feel about Henry Ruggs. There, we got another auto draft. Where are we at? Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins and I think Kenny Galladay are a month apart in age.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm on the clock. You've been hearing me talk over and over. I like to double down on quarterbacks, play the matchups. So I'm going to pick this quarterback right here in the 11th round. He was the highest graded rookie quarterback last year per Pro Football Focus. No, I'm not talking about Kyler Murray. No, I'm not talking about Danny Dimes. I'm talking about the mustache himself, Mr. Gardner Minshew.
That is horny, dude.
Yeah. And just some crazy numbers on Minshew. 350 scramble yards. That was the second most in the NFL. He had 350. He was second only behind Lamar Jackson, who had 430 scramble yards. So you don't really think of Minshew as a guy who's scrambling and getting it done on the ground, but I think he played 12 or 13 games. I mean, it's not unrealistic to see him really push that 400 scramble yard barrier. I mean, you have DJ Chark, you got D.D. Westbrook. They go out and they get Laviska Shenault. You got Tyler Eifert, who was paired up with Gruden back in Cincinnati. So I think he's just a red zone weapon. You get Chris Thompson if he can stay healthy. I think that this Jaguars defense isn't going to be very good. So I think that the Jaguars...
You almost did get him, huh?
Yeah, I know. Panicking right there. I think this Jaguars defense is no longer the Saxonville Jaguars, so I think they're going to be pretty bad. I think the offense is going to have to be out there in the field putting up some points. I think Gardner Minshew throws the ball 500-plus times. Yeah, give me some Gardner Minshew, one of our favorite late-round quarterbacks. I know that was one of Anthony's man crushes. Love me some Gardner Minshew.
Kirk Cousins goes off the board, another quarterback. So that's Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady back-to-back. Tariq Cohen in the final round.
Yeah.
I mean, in PPR, I don't know. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, for sure,
actually.
yeah.
I mean, when it's like I would have Tariq Cohen over Darrell Henderson. I'd take Tariq Cohen over Alexander Madison. I would take Tariq Cohen over Justin Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, I'm saying that, but really though, those are all, backups versus a player that's going to be involved.
Yeah, I mean, there was only 4 running backs last year who had 100 or more targets, and Tariq Cohen was one of those guys.
That's a crazy stat.
Yeah, so I think, does he see 100-plus targets again? Maybe, maybe not, but is 80-plus, 85-plus targets in the realm of possibility? 100%. He's one of those scat-back gadget kind of guys. So, yeah, I mean, you're getting him in the 12th round. Yeah, he's a guy where, you could throw him into your flex position or, if you get injuries or, you're on a bye week filler, he could be a guy you throw in there right there. At least a good depth pick right there, Tariq Cohen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah, so for me, I'm on the clock right here, and I'm going to draft one of my favorite players as a rookie coming into the league. I think this guy's a stud. Kind of reminds me of a Mike Evans, like a Vincent Jackson, Kenny Galladay type of player. But, yeah, Michael Pittman Jr. from the Colts out of USC. I mean, I think this guy this guy's going to be good, I know Phillip Rivers on the tail end of his career, but, I mean, we saw Mike Williams put up 10 touchdowns. I think it was on 66 targets. I know that's crazy. The touchdown-to-target ratio was insane. But, I mean, Michael Pittman is that same type of body, just a big-body guy. And, he actually led college football in terms of catch percentage or catch rate. So, I mean, if he gets his hands on it, he's coming down with it. He's like Clifford Franklin, Only one going up for it, only one coming down with it. Michael Pittman Jr., you heard it here first.
Yeah, I like it, man. Especially in those later rounds, dude. It's really fun watching this clock countdown.
So if we were in a league right here, I would just text all you guys right now and tell you if you just want to give me my money now, because I'm pretty much going to win the league. My team is stacked across the board. Love this team right here. Miz, hand over the belt.
Yeah. You like your team? Are you roster baiting over there?
I mean, I'm pretty much the Atlanta Falcons.
Are you?
Yeah.
So you're about to blow like a huge fantasy lead or what?
I'm be up going into halftime in the fantasy championship and just lose it.
I
would not be mad at this team at all. I would be pretty hyped at this team.
Honestly, Tony Pollard, there you go. I mean, I could use that seeing as I have Zeke and he has Corona. He has Corona, but apparently he's gotten better. And now he's got the antibodies. Actually, he might be the only running back that won't be out from coronavirus.
That's true. This is very true.
Is that correct, Medicine Man? tell us if we're right on that.
Save it for another episode.
Yeah. Yeah, like that would honestly be a strategy if you think about it. You draft people who've already gotten coronavirus.
Yeah. Is that how it works? If you get it once, you can't get it again?
I don't know. In my head, that's how it works, but I don't.
That's something we'll have to ask.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to ask.
Medicine Man.
We will have to ask the medicine.
Anthony goes Antonio Gibson.
Another
good rookie right there. I mean, Darius Guice hasn't been able to get it done in the last 2 years. They go out and get Gibson, who to me is like a Percy Harvin. He's a guy who can play receiver. He can be a running back. Really shifty, really hard to bring down. Solid body guy. Yeah, I love Antonio Gibson, especially if you're in a dynasty league. Really good player. They did say AP came out and said he wanted to play 4 more years. I'm not sure if he's gonna play 4 more years, but I mean, I'm never gonna doubt AP.
Tom Brady wants to play 10 more years.
Yeah, but I'm never gonna doubt Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, especially after
Yeah, that guy's a savage. So, and then the medicine man goes with Brandon Ayuk. We definitely got to get that drop. Ayuk.
Yeah, tell me when to. I'll grab it. You're gonna like my next pick.
And now Evan is on the clock, but I think he is on the auto pick. So
sick.
He's probably going to be going with the best available, which would be Danny Dimes.
Fuck you,
Evan.
Was that going to be your guy?
No. No.
Oh, so yeah, Danny Dimes will most likely be this pick on the auto draft. We're in the last round. We're in the 12th round of this
I got you. Yeah,
mock draft.
I get why,
Yeah.
People out here, dude. We got lives. Yeah, I mean, was that
Carlos
Hyde?
Came back. Carlos Hyde.
The Seattle Seahawks. Carlos Hyde.
I like Carlos Hyde right there. I think you're getting him in the 10th plus round. Who knows? Rashard Penny, obviously, they're not confident in him being able to come back. I think you could chalk him up as being a bust, being in one of the first round draft picks, and
being a what?
A bust.
What a bust. That's my new drop, by the way, when we talk about busts.
Then Chris Carson coming off the hip injury. I know if you want to hear the insight from the Medicine Man, check out that injury episode where the Medicine Man dives in on Chris Carson and his hip. I think Carlos Hyde could be a sneaky pick.
You ready for
Chris
this?
Carson's not 100%. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, no, I like that. All right, so I like N'Keal Harry, but ready for this pick? Going off all the rumors, my boy used to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Your boy takes Antonio Brown in the last round.
Ooh, nice.
I mean, if it was a dynasty startup, are you going to try and get Antonio Brown? I mean, dude, if you could get Antonio Brown like one of the later rounds of your dynasty startup league,
Yeah.
that'd be kind of nuts.
I guess that's the strategy. I mean, because how many players in those later rounds?
I just want to talk about him for a second. That's all.
But if he comes back, I mean, you're looking at. I mean, you can't deny that the guy's probably still a top 10 overall wide receiver in terms of talent. I mean, super talented guy.
Would I actually draft him here? No, but I'm just for.
I mean, I don't
be
think
able
it's
to
a
talk to him.
bad idea. You know, take a shot on him. I mean, it'd be the same as like taking a shot on like a Cam Newton. You know, for him to come back potentially,
Right.
and landing spot situation. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't take
Yeah.
Cam Newton anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of Antonio Brown, if his team was to sign him, he would be the best wide receiver on the team outside of, 4 teams?
Yeah.
You know? I would really like. I don't know why the Packers aren't just like, we're all in on the Super Bowl this year, and the Packers don't just go get him.
Yeah. That would be nuts.
Just say, hey, man, we'll look, nobody wants you. We'll give you 1 year, $10 million. Take it or fucking leave it. But it's like, imagine Aaron Rodgers with Devontae Adams and Antonio Brown. I mean, I think he could throw 60 touchdowns.
Dude, if that happened, I
mean, it would be insane to have Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball to Antonio Brown.
if Antonio Brown went to Green Bay.
Yeah. Oh, good. You're. All right, so Spatty goes Rager. We're on his last couple picks in the mock draft. Rudy's on the
Hey.
clock right here.
Listen, hey, GG. Thanks, Trey, for joining us, man. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate. Unless that's Evan. That might be Evan.
Yeah.
Is that Evan? Either way, appreciate you. Danny Dimes. I was going to take Ben Roethlisberger. I just want to say with Ben Roethlisberger, though, he said he's admitted he's addicted to porn and alcohol. So he's trying, and he's found Jesus. And I don't know if you know who else found Jesus and did really, really well that year, or is a big fan of Jesus.
Tebow.
Yep. Exactly. So
Did you just compare Big Ben to Tim Tebow?
I'm just saying, like, obviously, like, causation doesn't mean correlation or one of those. I don't know exactly how the phrase goes, but I do know that he found Jesus, and Tim Tebow is boys with Jesus, and Tim Tebow had one of, like, the craziest years in the NFL.
So, yeah, Big Ben comes out, says he's addicted to alcohol and porn, but he did not sexually assault 2 different women.
I mean, I'm not going to go into that because I'm not a prosecutor. I'm not in that. I wasn't there, you know what I mean? It's all alleged, and so, like, we can't really speak on that. But I will say that Jesus is very helpful in a lot of times.
I still think he's a piece of shit. Big Ben, not Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. I'm just trying to kill time while Blake sits at the bar and drinks Jameson.
Crowder?
Yeah, well, he drinks with Jameson Crowder. But yeah, so I mean, if that doesn't say that he's about to, I think he's like, I need Jesus this year to throw these footballs real good.
Do you think he's just praying on Jesus because he's like, my elbow hurts. Please, Jesus, help me.
No,
Help me.
the doctors helped him. He said, Jesus, help my elbow. And Jesus said, here's some doctors. And then
And then Cam
Newton,
with
after
the
we
last
talked about
pick.
him.
Justin goes Cam Newton. He's actually going to come on and do a Cam Newton segment. He's one of his sleepers.
Someone's commented and said, maybe that's how Ben Roethlisberger hurt his arm because he was baiting too much from porn. I mean, dude, honestly, he did. Ben came into the league last year with that injury. Like, you can see him, I watched this interview. They interviewed him, and he had a big wrap on his elbow, and it was like 2 months before the league started.
Yeah.
And he was like, don't worry. Oh, this is nothing. Like, it's just a preventative thing. And
He's
like,
he's baiting too much, dude.
yeah, he probably did. He probably in the summer it was like a hot summer day drinking. What are those beers they drink in Pittsburgh?
Foster's.
No, not Yinglings. He's drinking Yinglings on a hot summer day, just baiting in the front yard, dude.
Just bait in the front yard, huh? Oh,
Yeah.
Is that what they do?
Yeah, he locks his kids in his house and
It's daddy's time. Leave me alone. I just think Big Ben's a piece of shit. But all right, yeah, Justin goes Cam Newton with this last pick. He's gonna come on and we'll do a special segment where he goes over why he likes Cam Newton.
Can we have Justin on? Can we just have a podcast with Justin and then he just breaks down all of his picks and we just go. So you picked Justin Jackson.
No, he picks Cam Newton, and I don't think that's a terrible pick, especially if you just want to hold. You got to hold on to him. But his thinking is, if a quarterback gets hurt, then he's got to come in. He still thinks maybe the Patriots were to take him. Obviously, Cam Newton is better than some of these quarterbacks that are still out there, or at least backup quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he's getting the money that he wants to get. But like I said, one of these quarterbacks gets hurt, one of these quarterbacks gets coronavirus. Maybe they're just like, oh fuck, we need a quarterback. You get Cam Newton in there. So I personally would love to see Cam go to the Steelers because I think Big Ben's on the tail end of his career.
I think that the Steelers.
You put Cam Newton in that.
The Steelers are waiting for. Was that my phone? Yeah.
It's me. Justin's.
I got a FaceTime too. Yeah. Now, what's it called? I do think that the Steelers are just waiting for. They're waiting for Ben to get re-injured before they sign anybody.
Yeah,
that's what I think is happening.
I mean, you can't bank on Hodges and Mason Rudolph to be the backup quarterback. I mean, at that point, it's like you got to go get a guy like Cam. You got to go get a guy like Kaepernick. I mean, you cannot. The window to win a Super Bowl is so small, and I think that defense is going to be one of the better defenses in the entire NFL. I mean, you got a pretty good line. You got some weapons. I think the running game is pretty solid with James Conner and Benny Snell. You get Anthony McFarland. So I think ultimately the Steelers, and I know you're a Steelers fan, and I hype up the Steelers pretty much every time I talk to you about it. I think the Steelers are one of the best teams in terms of making a real push at the Super Bowl, especially with no more Tom Brady in the AFC. Obviously, you got Mahomes and the Chiefs. They're the favorite.
You do have
and Lamar.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, Lamar's got to get it done in the playoffs first before I am sold on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of like basketball reference. Right? I'm pulling an Anthony, banging out a basketball reference, but Tracy McGrady, one of the best basketball players of all time. Always on good teams. Really good basketball player. Could never get out of the first round of the playoffs in NBA. So it's like you got to win a playoff game first before I really consider the Ravens as a threat to win the Super Bowl. Big Ben, 2-time Super Bowl champ.
You do see a lot of quarterbacks who show up and they have a new system. Sorry. They all of a sudden it takes a second for defenses to kind of game plan for them. But you've had all this offseason to look at tape. There's no camps, so I'm sure coaching staff has literally just been staring at tape for the past months.
Yeah,
and I think Lamar Jackson has a regression just to add to the whole Steelers take it over the AFC North, take it over the AFC, and go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I don't know. And Ben Roethlisberger found Jesus. We got Minka Fitzpatrick. Devin Bush is amazing. T.J. Watt's amazing.
Yeah, Cameron Hayward. Joe Hayden.
Yeah. NFL released a top corners for 2020, and Joe Hayden was 3.
Yeah. Steelers defense is legit, you know what I'm saying? Going to be one of the defenses I try to get, we're going to do a defensive episode, but that's one of my favorite defenses to try to target. I'm sure they're going to go pretty high. I'm not going to reach for them, but, if you get to a certain point, I'm definitely going to try to get as many shares of the Steelers defense that I can get because, I think the Steelers are going to be one of the best defenses in the entire league. And
for sure.
Yeah. I know you like that because you're a Steelers fan. You see this fucking Steelers flag behind me. I'm not a Steelers fan.
It's a towel, actually.
You would think I'm hyping them up so much, but I am not a Steelers fan.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime gal. All right. Well, are you good? Anything else you want to touch on?
No. Appreciate everyone coming in.
Boys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Much love, much appreciation. If you can, I don't know if everyone who did the mock draft is subscribed, but if you could do your boy a huge favor, just please go to the YouTube link.
Subscribe.
And all you got to do is hit that little button. It's free. It literally takes 30 seconds, and You're helping your boy out. You're helping us out. You're supporting.
Remember that girl?
I really appreciate it.
We had like a little get together here, a little barbecue, and we told this girl, we're like, hey, like sub to our podcast, like it helps us out, and she was like, I don't want to do it. What? It took her 2 seconds to do it, and she was like, oh, that was it. We're not asking for money, okay?
Yeah. It's for free. This is not an OnlyFans.
Okay, yeah, it's not that kind of subscription. You just press the damn button, okay?
Literally takes 2 seconds. Have you ever liked a picture on Instagram? Yes. That's literally all you do.
Yeah.
You go to the YouTube channel, and it'll have a little icon that says subscribe, and you just click it, and...
Yeah, and obviously it's like, if you like our content, subscribe. If you really don't, that's fine. You don't like... It helps us out, but I'm not gonna I don't want to sit here and tell people, be rude or whatnot. Tell people to be, I don't know.
No, fuck that shit. Go subscribe.
I don't want to be, I don't know.
No.
Anyways, but thank you for listening. This has been the #1 podcast of all podcasts, AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. We're the best in the business, and you heard it here first. Listen, we're like you said, we're still. We're a sleeper right now. We're a sleeper podcast.
Yeah.
Don't you want to be the smart person who gets on the sleeper podcast before everybody knows? When someone releases there's like a new artist, and you're like, oh man, I like this artist. Nobody even knows about them. And then you show your friends, and then you can be like, oh dude, I knew about that artist way before they knew about it. Well, that could be you following the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. So why don't you go ahead and do that? Sub on everything. Leave us a review on the Apple Podcast app if you haven't already. Follow us on the Instagram, Twitter. All those links are down below. We appreciate you, and have a good rest of the night. Of your night. Have a good rest of whatever. If it's daytime, I'm losing myself here. Thank you for listening. We're out.